7, 13, and 14. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only if you find it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Faith, Hope, and Life Devotionals. I hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to be talking about Matthew 7, 13, and 14, and some perspectives I've been getting on the kingdom of heaven and how that connects to this narrow road. I've been sitting with Matthew 7, 13, and 14 a lot lately. The narrow gate, the wide road. I used to read these verses and think, well, obviously I'm on the narrow road. I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. And I'm trying to be good. I'm doing my job. I'm following the rules. I'm a delight to my boss. I tell the truth. I never lie. And obviously haven't erred in any major ways. But the more I walk with Jesus, the more I realize that the narrow road is a lot harder than I thought. And the wide gate, it's sneaky. It doesn't look like destruction. It looks like the easy choice, the comfortable one, the one everybody is taking. I think of a recent example everyone faced. Submit to a government authority seeking to harm, resist the devil. But other examples are more subtle. Don't go along with the bullies. Tell the truth in your tax accounting. The list can go on and on. I've been thinking about where the narrow road actually begins, and I keep coming back to the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, the Beatitudes. Jesus didn't start with a checklist. He started with a mirror. He handed us a way to measure ourselves on a daily basis to see if we're close, in the right ballpark, or way out of bounds when it comes to being a disciple in his kingdom. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." Not blessed are those who have got it all together. Not blessed are those who've got it all figured out. He said, blessed are those who are poor in spirit. That means knowing you are spiritually bankrupt without him. You bring nothing to the table. You're a beggar at the door. The wide gate leads you to walk in proud, holding your resume, your track record, your good deeds. The narrow gate requires you to crawl in empty-handed and say, Lord, I am nothing without you. Then it says, blessed are those who mourn. Well, obviously, we want to comfort those who've been through incredible loss, don't we? Yet after seeing what the world, quote unquote, has done to Mrs. Erica Kirk, I doubt even that now. Yet it's an easy verse to skip over. I think Jesus also means mourning over sin. My sin, the world's sin, the way things are. You can't be comforted by the Holy Spirit if you're perfectly comfortable with your life the way it is. The wide road numbs you with distractions. The narrow road breaks you first so he can put you back together. Blessed are the meek, not weakness, but power under control. It's a horse that answers to the rider. The world says, assert yourself, make a name for yourself, fight for your rights. The kingdom says, submit to God, and he will give you everything. Blessed are those who are hungry and thirst for righteousness, not just wanting to be a decent person, starving for it, craving for it like it's water in the desert. This is where you'll probably turn off the vlog. The wide road offers cheap grace. Oh, God will excuse that sin, excuse after excuse, shoving our own human faults under the rug with no transformation. The narrow road says, I will not be satisfied until I am like him, until I am like Jesus. Blessed are the merciful. That one gets personal. You want mercy? You have to give it freely. To the person who doesn't deserve it, to the one who hurt you. The wide gate keeps the ledger. It tracks every wrong. The narrow gate forgives. Blessed are the pure in heart, those who are single-minded, undivided, having one master. The wide gate says serve God and your reputation. Serve God and your comfort. Serve God and your money. The narrow gate says only one Lord. Blessed are the peacemakers, real peace, not appeasement, not surrender at any cost, peace that comes from the Holy Spirit, peace that comes from a righteousness, peace that comes from a checklist called obedience that you completed. That kind of peace says, I love you enough to tell you the truth. That kind of peace is the kind that only our Father in heaven can give. It's peace that passes understanding. And then the last one. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. I don't think anybody signs up for that one, but Jesus said it anyway. He said, if you walk the narrow road, people will not always like you. Not because you're obnoxious or self-righteous, because your life is a rebuke to theirs. And he said, rejoice and be glad because your reward in heaven is great. He didn't say avoid it at all costs. He says it's part of the road. Here's where Matthew 6:33 connects. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. The narrow road is the road of one priority, pleasing the King. Everything else, food, clothes, tomorrow, your reputation, your safety, that's the wide road worrying about itself. I don't think the narrow road is about being perfect. I am certainly not perfect. I think it's about being his. It's about choosing him again and again, even when it's hard. Choosing to obey, choosing to be thoughtful, choosing everything he would want for your life so yours is aligned with his, even when the wide road looks so much easier. And here's what I'm learning. The narrow road isn't joyless. It's actually the only road that leads to real joy, because it's the road where you're walking with him. The wide road gives you temporary comfort and eternal loss. The narrow road costs you everything and gives you everything. I've been wondering something lately. What were the disciples thinking when they were with Jesus? I used to picture them as these super saints. They had it all figured out from day one. Yes, Master, we believe you are the Son of God. No questions, no doubts. But when I actually read the Gospels, that is not what I see. They argued about who was the greatest. They tried to stop children from coming to see Jesus. Peter actually rebuked him for talking about his own death. Thomas said he wouldn't believe that Jesus was resurrected until he saw the wounds with his own eyes. And when the soldiers came to arrest Jesus, they all ran away. Every single one of them. So was it always peace and joy and clarity in their hearts? No, it was a process, a slow burn, a gradual dawning. They walked with him, heard his teaching, watched him calm storms and raise the dead, and they still had questions. They still stumbled. They still doubted. I find that comforting because I have questions too. I stumble too. There are days when I feel like I'm walking the narrow road and days when I feel like I'm lost in the weeds. And here's what gets me. After the resurrection, after the ascension, and after Pentecost, those same men who ran away from a servant girl were standing before councils and saying, we must obey God rather than men. They were completely unrecognizable. I want to be like that. What changed? They saw the risen King. They were filled with the Holy Spirit. They finally understood what they had been walking towards the whole time. And they didn't just believe, they endured. Hebrews 11 is called the roll call of faith. It lists people who conquered kingdoms and shut the mouths of lions. But it also lists people who were tortured, mocked, scourged, stoned, sawn in two, and killed with a sword. People who went about in sheepskins and goatskins and destitute, afflicted, and mistreated. The world said they weren't worthy of the world. God said the world wasn't worthy of them. Peter was crucified upside down. Little James was killed by the sword. John was exiled on the island of Patmos. He lived in a cave. They didn't walk the narrow road and get everything they quote unquote wanted. They got everything they needed. They got the privilege of suffering for his name. And I don't think they regretted it. I think they counted it all joy because they saw the king. They knew the prize. They understood that the narrow road ends in life and the wide road ends in destruction. So I ask myself every day now, which gate am I walking toward? The wide gate is easy. It's comfortable. Everyone is doing it. It doesn't require anything from you, but it leads to destruction. The narrow gate is hard. It requires everything. It requires something of you by way of reflecting on your own heart. Are you poor in spirit, meek, hungry for righteousness, merciful, pure, a peacemaker, and willing to be persecuted? It requires you to seek his kingdom first. It requires you to follow a king who was crucified. When I say that, I'm not judging you, and I'm not judging your heart. I probably don't even know you. That process is between you and your Maker, between you and Jesus if he is your Lord. One path leads to life, not just life after death, life right now, a life that matters, a life that will echo into eternity. The disciples found it. The martyrs found it. The saints throughout history found it. And I want to find it too. Because that kingdom is eternal. Hey guys, thanks for listening. I love you. Thank you for walking with this path with me today. I hope God blesses you, and I hope you all have a great day. God bless. Bye.